Everyone, recovery. We're going to talk about my testimony. I'm Jeff, recovering addict. Basically, I'm going to start off with just saying, if you guys, anybody struggling, family member, loved one, or yourself struggling with addiction, drop your area in the comments. I'll find you some resources for that. I always say all recovery is good recovery. And basically, I'm going to let you know I started off in a lower middle class family. My mother was an addict. Through my preteens, my brother began to use, and he would push drugs on me thinking it was cool. And basically, things went on like that. I actually hated drugs for quite a time in my teens. I did get into selling when I was younger, and that became an addiction to me. And it gave me some power, some clout around the neighborhood, things like that. And man, this chair's uncomfortable. Gave me some power, some clout around the neighborhood. I got into that really hard. I started really, doing some bigger things. I got addicted to the money, and I realized the money was in pills. I got into that. I had an injury about 18 years old. I fell, hurt my back pretty bad, broke some ribs, and I left the hospital with a prescription of 40 milligram Oxycontin, and I couldn't even take them in the beginning. I remember trying to trade them for bikes, and a friend of mine did me the favor, I guess he thought it was a favor, of telling me, crush them up, do a little piece at a time, and within a couple months, my script would only last maybe, 10 days to 2 weeks if I was lucky. Within a year, it became a chronic issue to where the trauma doctor that was treating me could not continue to treat me. I went from that to, buying off the streets. I did that for a little while. I actually got into trouble, went away for a prison bid for about 11 months. I got home and I had to stay with my mother at this time, and needless to say, I got back into opiates after a little while. This time, I was kind of sick of it, so I did try to go to a methadone clinic. Now, I'm not docking clinics or methadone clinics or anything like that. I think maintenance, whatever you do is on you. I think all recovery is good recovery, and if you're living a good, clean life and taking care of your kids, more power to you. Basically, myself, I was still abusing while I was in the clinic. I would abuse benzos, I would abuse, speed, whatever I can get my hands on. And after a couple years in the clinic, I actually had an experience where I was staying at like this, crack house / motel thing, and I had mixed a bunch of pills this night, and mixed benzos, muscle relaxers, and the 150 milligrams of methadone I was on. And I went into my hotel room and I went to lay down and go to sleep, and the cops came to my room for some reason that night over some report or something. I forget what exactly they said. So they run everyone's name, and I have a warrant. And luckily, I can say luckily now, luckily I got arrested, got took down to the Hamilton County Justice Center in Cincinnati, and during the booking process, I actually fell out. Now, I don't remember anything but waking up handcuffed to a hospital bed in UC Hospital, and sheriff's deputy right next to me. So, what do? I yell for my methadone first thing, because I knew I was in a hospital. I knew there was a chance that I might be able to get it, and guess what? I did get it. I went to my clinic the next day, though, and the doctor told me, he said, look, I'm not going to be a part of you killing yourself, and he would not treat me no more. He kicked me out that day, which ended up to be a blessing. I mean, it really did. Did it wake me up? No, this did not wake me up. I would continue on for a couple of years, bouncing from here to there, homeless some of the time, having a place for short periods of time, maybe, 3 months here, 6 months there. I ended up in this little tiny apartment, and I got back into hustling some to support my addiction. So, basically, life went on with the everyday grind of trying to keep well, and through this period, I was sick of it, but I didn't know no way out. I did not have the strength or anything that was going to get me to where I was just going to put myself into rehab. So some time goes by and I get mixed up in this stupid little situation. New Year's Day, I was going to do a little whatever, make a move, and from this I ended up getting jumped. I got arrested after getting jumped while getting my eye sewed back up. And you know, I'm not going to really go into the case, that's a whole other video. Basically what happened, I ended up I didn't have money for a paid lawyer, I didn't have money for bond, so I ended up taking a plea deal and getting a little prison sentence, also getting myself some treatment through this in a prison program. I got out a little less than a year later on felony probation, and this is where my life did take a change, I believe. I got out homeless. My mother and father were both, very sick at this time, and I stayed in a homeless shelter where down the road there was a small little 12-step meeting called Celebrate Recovery, and I got connected to some people there, and they encouraged me to hit any meeting I could. So I'd go to NAAA, whatever 12 steps I could get into, I'd go to. And I really started to try to cling to these people because it was really the only positive support I had in my life at this time. So I, was trying to do right. I still relapsed. And after my relapse, I got a second chance, and the second chance I really put my best foot forward. I didn't want to go back to prison, and I didn't want to continue the life of using. So I continued to show back up. I remember showing up probably when I shouldn't have showed up to meetings, but I kept going back, and I believe that's where stuff started actually sinking in. And basically, from the positive support and the faith these people shown in me and the trust they shown in me, that gave me some self-worth I didn't have, and I just want to share, there's 3 people I still want to thank to this day: Randy, Julie, Tim. Love y'all, and just thank you guys so much. Back to my story, I just wanted, I was so sick of things at this point. I still can't, in a halfway house, getting a few things in line. At this point, I was legally blind. For those of you who don't know, I have an eye disease. I was losing a lot of my eyesight through my 20s and early 30s. I still have some vision. I am more than legally blind, though. I don't want to hold me back. So, some people say sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm good. Trust me, I jog. I do a lot of things still. So, I live a full, blessed life for sure. So, what I want to let you guys know is, man, if I could do it, anyone could do it. I lived in the gutter. Sometimes you're going to have to go through places you don't want to go through. But I tell you what, being in a shelter or a three-quarters house or rehab is so much better than prison. Or I know, 30 people on the ground right now. So, if you are still out there struggling, definitely get help. My main thing I would say that helped me was once I cut all them old people out, once I really plugged into positive people, that's where it started to change for me. I got into things I'd never get into. I jog now, I work out now. These are things I'd never do before or enjoy. Man, there's nothing like it. I can run a mile straight now. I know that ain't a whole lot to some people, but I was a smoker for quite some time. Basically, my last chance I got after my relapse, and I told my PO I relapsed, he gave me one last chance, and I put my best foot forward in this halfway house. I got things in line. Through this time, I had actually became more than legally blind. So I got things in order financially while I was in this halfway house, and realized I had to, was going to not be able to be a plumber anymore. So I got things in order to where I could get out and have, some stability. I got out of the halfway house again, and I went back to the same homeless shelter, and this time I really tried, man, and I stayed plugged into my home group, and through me actually putting my best foot forward, people actually went out of their way to help me within a year and a half of being released homeless on the street, I actually had my own place. I was doing okay financially, not great, but I was okay. And, you know, life actually began to be good, man. And, you know, I still went through a lot of pains and stuff through these times. And some of the worst things I went through did become blessings. I remember this last felony I caught. I remember sitting in my cell thinking, how did this happen? How unjust it was. And looking back, I don't know if my daughter would be here today. I don't know if I'd be the father I am today had I not went through these hardships. My recovery group has gave me the strength to realize, you know, despite, you know, being partially blind, I can live a full, productive life. I feel that I'm very successful. I am one day going to open a halfway house to hopefully help other addicts. So, you know, just dream big. You can do it. If I could do it and pull myself up out of the gutter, and you know, it wasn't me, first of all. That was God. That was God saving me. And every big change in my life, I do believe, came from some type of divine intervention. You know, I'm not going to get on that topic, but you know, I just want to give credit where credit's due. You know, my God did put a lot of great people in my life that's helped me along the way, and I just thank you guys very much. And you know, I want to share this story to let you guys know, man, whatever you got going on, whatever pain you're trying to cover up from using, you know, it's not going to work. First of all, you know, addicts are resourceful people, so my advice is, you know, try everything different, man. That's what it ended up having to be for me. And you know, growing pains are good. That's, you know, easier said, but, you know, than go when you're not going through it. But my advice is just keep at it, stay sober. Like I would say, guys, like, share, subscribe. I hope me sharing some of my backgrounds really, you know, maybe helped you guys. Let me know what you want to hear in the comments. I'm going to start trying to upload at least 3 times a week, if not more. Maybe get a Wednesday night meeting going on here. So you guys let me know what you want to see. Till next time, stay up.